Good morning. Are you excited? Are you excited? Welcome to the 2019 IEC Pinnacle Leadership Conference. I'd now like to introduce our President and CEO, Dr. Fardad Fateri.
I beg to dream and if ever all arise. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives on holiday.
Hello everyone, welcome. Are you having fun so far? Excellent. Well, welcome. Great to have you. I know I saw lots of you last night and had the opportunity to say hello and welcome you. And now I officially welcome you on behalf of our executive leadership team. Really excited all of you are here. I hope you know that you are the absolute best of the best at IEC. So congratulations. So all of you who are here also know how hard it is to be here, right? It's very, very difficult because you work with and compete with, of course in a very friendly way, with all of your peers, and you know how great they are. So for you to be here, truly, I have to tell you, I'm a fan. Truly, I am your biggest fan. When I go around and I see your names and I see your faces and I said, oh my goodness, all of you are just amazing. Truly amazing. It's truly an honor for me. So I'm going to be speaking today. I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to speak only for 8 hours. So you're in great shape. You're in great shape today. But before I start, I want to recognize a few of my colleagues today, and this weekend. And tonight, it's all about all of you. It's about you. We are here as your hosts. You are our guests. We're here to recognize you and make sure you understand how much you mean to me and to IEC and to all of my peers who you work with. Truly, it is an amazing weekend for all of you. But let me just introduce a few people. You know, you're going to hear lots throughout this presentation of people who are truly amazing. But let me start with introducing my colleagues in the senior executive team, Mr. Shokri Tiab and Mr. Sanjay Sardana. Please get up. They're amazing. It's truly a pleasure. It's truly a pleasure to work with them, and you know, they see me at my worst every day, and they see me at my best, but truly putting up with me is not easy. You know, you can ask my wife, she's here. It's difficult, but during the day, those are the two that hear my ups and downs a lot. So, Sanjay and Shokri, it's an honor. I also want to recognize our executive leadership team. Together, we run this organization with all of you. So would you get up, the executive leadership team? So I want to recognize them. Michael Cole, Jim York, Bob Adler, Ali Baller, Joanna Gott-Vargas, Joan Yorstone, and Mr. Aaron Mortensen. Awesome. Very good. So let's begin. So those of you, like all of you, are very, very talented, right? You're all rock stars. Like, amazing at what you do. You're subject matter experts. But that's not all. You get things done. You just get it done with quality and integrity. And you get it done with excellence. And you get it done consistency, right? Consistency is the mother of excellence. Exactly, right? Being consistent is important. But did you all know that we have a true rock star amongst us? For years, I've been trying to get pictures with this man. And guess what? For the first time, I got a picture last year. That's one. And I got a picture with him again last night. Professionally, all of you know him as Athlete Saint Fleur. But his rock star name is Flav Gabel. Did you know that? So, where is Athlete? So, on your free time, look him up on YouTube. He's got it's kind of, I would say PG-13, R-rated. So make sure you don't do it around little kids. Make sure they pass the 17, 18-year-old kind of test. But you should see a few of them. Like R. It's not worse than R, but or at least I haven't seen those athletes. But they're all awesome. He's an amazing artist. Outside of work and at work, superstar on the East Coast, the best we have in the business office on the East Coast. He's it. He's the best we've got. Okay, so let's talk about, some of the stuff you're going to hear about today is redundant, right? Some of it has been repetitive. You've heard it last year. You've heard it in my emails. You've heard it on conference calls. But repetition is important, right? We are all about simplicity and making sure all of you are exposed to our objectives at all times, right? So you're going to hear things, but please make sure you digest these and let them drive your business, your decisions, your activities, everything that you do every single day. Please try to do that. So growth is very important to us, right? And growth comes through what? Admissions and education. Why? Admissions brings new students in and education keeps students, right? It goes hand in hand. We need both to have growth. It can't happen one without the other. Quality. We care about quality tremendously. That's our brand. How do we measure quality? Through student retention rates, through student completion rates, and student placement rates. Right? We do that. That's quality in our sector, and that's what builds our brand. And what truly is important to us as a third driver of our business is regulatory compliance. We want to be sure we are always compliant with our regulators, and we have lots of them, right? And one standard of excellence, we want to be sure we do everything the same way at every single department, every single campus, every single region across our system. Makes sense, right? That's how you can ensure quality and repetition of excellence. And financial health. So I always tell everybody, if we do the four right, financial health is an emerging property. It's an outcome, it's a result. Make sense? Okay. Let's begin. So as an organization, we have held the same thesis and operating model forever. We've been extremely disciplined in making sure we stick to our core and be a premier provider of short-term diploma programs preparing students for entry-level professions in high-demand verticals. That thesis hasn't changed. As tempting as it is to move up academic verticals, as tempting as it is to go online and offer degrees, we have stuck to our core because that's all we know. That's our core competency, and we will continue to stay disciplined and focused in doing that. I mean, it's possible that we may introduce online, but only to enhance the learning community and only to make sure our students are learning more effectively. But for now, It's going to be all on ground, and then it's going to be all focused on entry-level professions. That's what we do, and that's what our core competency is. And because of it, we have been able to persist and continue to excel and get better and better and better. So, as you know, our student population, a lot of people try to get away from our sector because it's so difficult, but our student population it's a group of students that have historically and traditionally been ignored and avoided by traditional higher education and traditional post-secondary education. So that's our core. That's what we do. It is difficult, right? Because sometimes I go to campuses and a lot of people tell me, well, our students, it's difficult. They have lots going on in their lives. It's hard for them to stay in school, to do well because of the demands in their lives, and they're not used to this. They don't have a good support system. Well, that's our population. Those of you who teach, how many instructors here? All of you are here because you are amazing at serving our population of students, right? It is difficult, but the passion and the love and the care you have for those students is what makes our students successful, right? I have to tell you, I always hear that a lot of people believe that our students are underprepared academically, they're not ready for our classes, they're not ready for our school. True, but those are the students, if they were prepared, if they didn't have issues and problems, they would go to the traditional schools, and they are well equipped to address students who are truly academically prepared. But our environments, our culture, our community, our target is to be sure we accommodate students who don't have other choices. That's why we want to provide access to students who cannot go elsewhere. We are, in many, many cases, their last hope, their last stop. Please make sure that message transcends to all of your colleagues at your campuses because it's terribly important. Okay, so remember, we are very disciplined in being focused on short-term programs, right? That's our discipline, that's our core, and we will always stick to it. It's very possible we introduce new programs. If a large group of employers out there start asking for incredible skills in underwater basket weaving, we will develop an 8-month program for it. We are career education, right? We are career education, and the type of career education that provides skills for students and graduates to secure entry-level jobs in high-demand verticals. Right now, healthcare and trades are in high demand with our employers. So most of our students are in healthcare as well as in trades. But that may change in 10 years, 15 years. But we are true career education in the sense that we are nimble, we're agile, we're flexible, and we can change our content to accommodate employers. Because employers are also our customers, right? That's why we have industry advisory committees, and that's why we seek guidance and advice from employers all the time. Make sense? So our vision is to be the college of choice and be a premier provider for our students and to make sure that we provide the best experience for our students. Make sense? So history of IEC, we've been around since 1982. We have evolved quite a bit since 1982. And we have changed quite a bit, but always improving, always getting better, and always focusing on the fundamentals of the existence of career education, which is short-term programs, right? So we want to continue to build that for all of you. And with all of you, and with your leadership and your guidance, right? Because remember, I am your representative, but all of you are leaders. Regardless of your title, you're all leaders of this organization. So, we added this year, I usually try not to get too focused on history, but I'm very excited that we opened up our new branch campus in Sacramento, California, led by our amazing Jim York and within the amazing Pacific region, which is, by the way, the best region within IEC. In 2018, who knows what's going to happen in 2019? Who knows? Who knows? And we are all over the country, state to state, East Coast to West Coast, and our goal for the future is to continue to grow with quality and integrity. We like to add new branches in complementary markets. What do I mean by that? I mean adding campuses in regions that are doing very well. One of the reasons we picked Sacramento is, of course, it's a fantastic city. It is one of the largest cities in California, and it completes our presence in California for the most part because it was the last remaining city we weren't in. But our goal is to organically expand our footprint within complementary markets in regions that are doing very well. Because we don't want to add campuses to dilute the quality of what we're doing, right? So again, that is an important part of our thesis and our operating model. We have so many campuses now, we could have had 100 campuses, honestly, because there is so much out there we could do. But so for us, quality and integrity and regulatory compliance is so important. We don't want to compromise what we already do and what we already have for the risk and take that risk for growth. Make sense? So all of you, because I get that question all the time, that how are you going to make sure, when you say you, it's me, how are you going to make sure our company remains solvent and our company and our organization continues to do what it does for our students in the coming years? When I was in Encino, I got that question. They said, well, we know we're great, but I don't know what's going on at the other campuses in the organization. How are we going to make sure everybody's doing well? Everybody's going to do what's right for our students. That is an excellent question and an excellent comment, right? Because we all operate individually within a department, within a campus, within a region, but we're all tied together as a network and as a system of schools, right? It only takes one campus to make all of us look bad. So that question from that one individual that came to me when I was at Encino, and I get that question often in different forms, how are we going to make sure we focus on quality and we focus on integrity and we make sure student experience continues to be the most important core to all of our values? We've got to all think about that. And as all of you know, when it comes to me and everybody, all the other leaders within this organization, when it comes to retention and graduation and completion and placement rates, we care a lot about that. With a lot of organizations, I'm sure it's the same, but in a lot of them, it's all about marketing and admissions. We care deeply about marketing and admissions, but we care deeply about student finance, education, career services, and everything else in between. We really do. And all of you who've been here for a while understand that, right? You know that. That's why all of you here proportionately represent the departments you're in. We don't have more admissions people and more marketing people than education. No, we have more people in education here than any other vertical. Right? Everybody in education? Right? It's that important. Same with career services. placement of our graduates in academically related professions is the most important outcome in our profession, right? Because our students come here because of that, to secure employment, right? We don't offer the kinds of education. You know how sometimes you go to schools, you go get degrees so you can find yourself. You know those kinds of places, I have one of those useless degrees myself. So I'm sure you don't get offended if you have one of those too. But we're not one of those places that you come and you have this fantastic experience to find yourself. If you do, fantastic. Right? That's like a side benefit. But you're here to learn, to understand. You can be someplace safe and caring, but someplace that's going to be focused on your journey and focused on making sure you're successful. Make sense? So growth is important to us. Organically is what we prefer. That's the best way to transfer our culture. But it doesn't always work out that way. So we are always looking to acquire small schools, large schools in complementary markets. Again, we want to expand on the West Coast and the East Coast and the South. And we will continue to do so, but we will do it thoughtfully, and we will do it in markets where we can leverage our talent, all of you, to do so, right? We want to do that to make sure our programs remain the same, the quality is the same, the outcomes are the same, and that is the premier the focus and objective when we look at acquisitions out there. And there are lots of schools and companies out there that are for sale, right? But again, we're very picky. The last acquisition we had was in 2014, which was our East Coast schools. And God, we did all of you, thank goodness, we acquired a fantastic set of organizations from our East Coast schools, and all of you continue to improve. How many of you are from the East Coast? Clap, 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 yeah. All right. We're very excited about that. And ultimately, what our vision as a company and as an organization, our vision hasn't changed. We want to be a premier provider of short-term career education in the United States. That's our vision, that's our ambition, that's our aspiration, and that's what we always strive to be, right? So I don't know if we will ever get there. A lot of people say we already are within our space, and a lot of people do say we're the largest organization within our space offering short-term programs. I don't think we are. Why? Because I don't compare our results against our peers out there. I compare our results against what has to be and what must be in admissions, in education, in career services, and everything in between. Once we get there, we'll know. Once all of you know, once all of you in admissions hit your targets, once in student finance, all of you are at 100%, and whenever you have to be at 100%, with 100% accuracy, once collections is at 100% by every campus, once education is at 3.5% gross attrition every month, and once our completion and graduation rates are at least 5% for every program above the accreditor's benchmark, and once our placement rates are 5% above the accreditor's benchmark, that's when we are the premier provider of career education in the US. That's when it happens. Until then, we have a lot of work to do, and I'm sure all of you agree. Again, we're getting better all the time. And I tell you, if our thousands of colleagues out there were like you, we would be there. But all of you, let me tell you, you have a very strong responsibility. Your responsibility is make sure that everybody gets there. Right? That's your responsibility because I can't do it. Shokri can't do it. Sanjay can't do it. Aaron can't do it. Michael, Ali, Bob, Aleko, they can't do it alone. It has to be all of us together, collectively operating as one, right? And do you know what we have to be? We have to be obsessed with student success. Obsessed. All of you are, but many are not, right? Again, we don't want to change everybody, but we need to have that objective to manage behaviors, to lead us to a culture that is obsessed with making sure our students are successful. Because everything we do is about student success. If our students are successful, I am successful, all of you are successful. Right? But it's obsession. You know, I have a disorder. I have so many. But one disorder I have this obsessive behavior with various things. One of them is our students. Because I have to tell you, you know how hard it is for a student to make the decision to come to school? To one of our schools. For many of them, it is one of the biggest risks they will take. The first time they come for an interview, it is the first time they've ever stepped on a college campus for an interview. That is how hard it is and the big responsibility all of you take. That's why it's so hard to be in admissions in our sector, to be in student finance, and to be in education, and to be in career services. I come to campuses all the time, and it's my most favorite activity. I mean, people in Irvine love it when I go. First of all, they just like it because I'm not there. But I go because, honestly, it gives me so much energy. Because I grew up in this sector. I started in the classroom. And when I feel your energy and I feel the energy of our students, it validates my feeling and my opinion of why we matter. Because if we don't do it, no other school is going to do it. Everybody is leaving our space. Everybody wants to offer degrees. Everybody wants to move up the academic vertical. You know why? Because it's easier and it's more prestigious. I always tell everybody the most prestigious thing to do in post-secondary education is to do what we're doing. It's to serve our students, right? Because we are making a difference. And that's the reason I entered this sector. I was at a traditional college before, and when I got in career ed, it was degree granting, and as fulfilling as it was, I wasn't feeling that I had true purpose. All of you see it every day. I mean, you do it so much more. I see the world through your eyes and through your actions, right? But it's because all of you have that level of obsession with your students. All of you who know, like I get lots of emails from students. Unfortunately, it's not complimentary. Usually when students write to me, they're upset about something. I respond to them within minutes. Within minutes. You know why? Because it is important they know they're very important. They need to know they're important. In their lives, our students have learned that they don't matter. They need to know they are the absolute most important person in our organization and in our company. Please take that message back to your campuses and to your regions. Nothing is more important than our students. Nothing. So, obsessions with student success. You all got that, right? Digest it and internalize it. You're going to see several more bubbles in the next few minutes. So the reason I put them in bubbles is because they're all interrelated and codependent. One is not more important than the other, but all the circles you see, all the bubbles you will see around student success all contribute and are all aligned around students because all of them have to work well together to make sure our students succeed. First and foremost is new students, right? We need new students. Without new students, we won't have any schools. Who's responsible for new students, bringing new students in? New students. It's admissions. There are new students. Who's here from admissions? Please get up. Everybody recognize our people in admissions. Yes. Truly, all of you who are here from admissions, you are amazing. You are here because you are the best in admissions. And I learn a lot from you. You all know, like last night when I talked to you, I asked lots of questions. Sorry, I ask lots of questions because that's the only way I can learn. And I love to learn from all of you more than anybody else because you are the ones with information, with knowledge. And you know, when I come to your campuses, I do the same. And isn't it interesting that the same people, the same superstars, come to Pinnacle every single year? I have the response why that is. But the key question is, how can we create a culture and an environment where you, all of you, can create that level of consistency in excellence and in performance and in productivity in everybody around you. And I'm not just talking about the managers and directors. I'm talking about all of you. All of you are leaders, right? Because at IEC, everybody has the gift and has the opportunity to be the CEOs of their position. No stories, no excuses, no fluff. You are in charge. And all of you are here because you know that, right? Exactly. Was that Larry? Yes! Larry from Jacksonville. Superstar. Right? So it's important we bring new students in. We have to. Admissions does that. You have to call them. You have to. What do you do for students to start? Yes, but what do you do to make sure they start? What? Build value, right? Once you build value, your students will start. Right? How do you build value? All the instructors here, I can guarantee you, because every instructor I know that's amazing, they love talking to new students. You know, when you buy a car, do you test drive it? Do you test drive cars? How many of you have bought cars you didn't test drive? Come on, don't be embarrassed. There's always two or three. There are always two or three, so I didn't know. I just cared about the color. You always test drive the car you buy, right? And that's only a transaction. When you bring the students in, let them test drive our program. They need to be with us 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for 8 or 9 months. That's a long time. Have them go into the class they want to be in. Have them experience that instructor for 30 minutes. Test drive. Have them test drive. Don't, talking to them about the program is great, but nothing is more important than allowing your students test drive the program. Right? That's what builds value. So, new students come through admissions once they build value. Then it's what? Financial aid. Do you know what the financial aid does? What? Joanna, you have been to these things before. Financial aid provides access. That's why admissions and financial aid create that continuum of enrollment management. You are partners. The most successful campuses are campuses that have a fantastic admissions team and have a fantastic student finance team that work in partnership with one another. That's where you create that continuum, right? So that's where admissions builds value, financial aid and student finance provides access, right? Because our students, most of our students won't be able to afford to come to school without the expert guidance and assistance of financial aid. Makes sense so far, right? What's next? Education, right? All of our instructors and all of our academic leaders need to provide that value that was established in admissions, right? We need to teach, we need to create amazing learning communities where students feel welcomed, they feel warm, they feel they're being cared for, they feel safe, and they believe that you have everything that it takes to change their lives. So education is that important because our education vertical, our instructors, you have our students from day one until the last day. You are responsible for their entire journey at UEI, FCC, and US colleges. Does that make sense to all of you? So again, remember the interdependency of all these bubbles, right? They all have to work together in partnership to create student success. One cannot happen without the other. The codependency is critical. And I have to tell you, admissions, super important. Financial aid, super important. Career services, super important. The most important vertical in creating success in our students is education. You know, it's absolutely true. I don't know how many of you read the student surveys. How many of you read the student surveys, at least for your own class in school? Okay, good. Oh, I'm glad you even faked it if you don't read it, but that's... thanks for playing. But the student surveys are on Unify. You can access them easily. You know, our students write usually amazing comments and terrible comments about the services they deserve. You know, when I read student surveys, there are lots of students that say the air conditioning doesn't work, the heater doesn't work, there isn't enough parking. I read that in Encino's comments all the time, by the way. Although Encino has a fantastic system. They have 3 cars in 1 parking spot. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it works magically, like it's magic. It's just like amazing. Everything about Encino is amazing. Students talk about the food in the vending machine being stale, the food being old, the vending machines eating their coins, all kinds of stuff like that. The campus is dirty. All that stuff is important, right? Everything students say, everything they say is important. But I usually don't focus on that because I figure the campus leaders and regional leaders will take care of those comments and those issues because we have a process in place to handle those things. But when I become uber interested is when a student talks about the learning community. When they say, my instructor is late, my instructor doesn't care, I am not learning, my instructor teaches to the board, my instructor never gets up, always is sitting, but is capable of walking. So that interests me. You know why? Because the students that write those comments are the students who will drop out. You know why? Because those students They are not getting the value they signed up for. Our students have a lot going on in their lives. They have childcare issues, major money problems, major childcare, transportation issues. They have so much going on. And if they're going to come to school to be ignored and avoided, and if they don't see a future that they know is going to make them proud, they will drop out. You find a student who's dropped out, you know what they'll tell you? If you call them, do you know what they'll tell you? They'll say, transportation, I don't have a car, I have to take the bus. Or, nobody can take care of my kids, I have childcare problems. And then, or the third thing they say is, I don't have money, I have financial problems. Are they lying? No. They do have those problems. But those problems become more important to them when they don't see value in the classroom with you, because they determined that you are not, we are not, I am not helping them build a future they can be proud of. Right? That's the reason. So whenever students tell you, because I read the reports that say the reasons students have for dropping out, I can tell you 99% is childcare, financial problems, and transportation. So whenever you hear that, do not believe that's the true reason. It is a reason, but it's because all of you and us and me, we ranked below that as far as priority. Right? I have to tell you, all of you, who are the instructors here again? Okay. All of you are here because you have overcome that. Your students, I see a few instructors here. I see Luke. I see, your instructors will crawl to school. Crawl to school. I was at the West Covina campus several weeks ago. How many of you are here from West Covina? Yeah. So I was there like at 7 a.m., 7:30. I got there really early for some reason. It was pouring rain. Torrential rain in Southern California. Believe it or not, this was a very rainy year in Southern California. But I got there really early, and I wasn't supposed to get there early, but students were there. They were smiling. They were happy. They were excited. They had that tunnel thing going, welcoming students. And, those students truly had a fantastic reason to take a day off. They say, it's raining. I'm not going to get to school on time. They could have a million reasons not to go, but they all showed up. And it wasn't because of me, for sure, because they didn't know I'm coming, right? But they showed up for their instructor because they don't want to miss a minute of what their instructors have to teach. That's how important instructors are, right? So, okay, we covered admissions, right? We covered student finance. Student finance, can you all stand up? Student finance. Please recognize them. Amazing superstars. Amazing superstars. Truly, I have worked at amazing organizations in the past, including this one. Our student finance department today is the absolute best I have seen in this sector. Seriously, absolute best. In packaging efficiency, in accuracy, absolutely the best, truly. And we're business office. Those are our Sams and Bombs. Where are you? Where are you? Can you stand up? Wow. Look at all those popular people. Look at them. Maury, Alfred, Erica, V. Oh my God. Congratulations. Seriously, we have the best business office everywhere here too. Again, structured. All of you who've been here for a while, we have reports for everything. So, you know what, most organizations you go to, they say, hey, you know, we don't have a report for this, yeah, I don't have a report for this. We have 20 reports for the same things. So one of the practices we go through every year, because we just don't measure the outcome of a single function. We measure every step of that function from beginning to end. So one of the exercises we go through every year is to cut our reports. So whenever somebody says, can we have one more report that does, no! We're done with reports. We want to cut reports and make them more relevant. That's the world we live in. Right? So in admissions, we have gazillions of reports, and in student finance, in the business office, and in education and career services, we have lots of reports. So we don't, if all of you are wondering, it would be, if it would be great to have XYZ report, I guarantee you we have it. Just ask. We have whatever report you want to. Seriously. We can, I assure you, there isn't a step, a breath people take that we don't measure. We do. We absolutely do. So, you're all with me so far? New students, student finance, business office, instructors. Did I acknowledge the instructors? You've got to get up again. Get up again. Instructors, get up. Please, get up. Acknowledge our superstars. Truly, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And our academic leaders, where are they? Our directors of education, our regionals, our registrars, where are our registrars? Don't sit, stand up, where are our registrars? Our regionals in education. Where are regionals in education? Oh, there's Adrian. Excellent. Excellent. Wow, truly amazing. I'm a fan, by the way. I just want to kind of see all of you because I get starstruck when I come to these events because I get to see all of you, and the work you do is just so tremendous. So, last but not least, for sure, in the operating continuum is career services. Yeah. Can all of our career services professionals get up? Regionals, Joan, directors, amazing. Seriously, I'm a big fan. So, it is not a secret. Do you know our two best verticals at IEC in terms of consistency and excellence? Two best. Again, consistency is important. Excellence is important in creating the kind of momentum we want. You know what those two are? Two verticals. Somebody over there said it quietly. Elisa said it. Yes, good job, Elisa. Very, very humble of you to mention that. Student finance and career services. All of you get up. Get up. Student finance, career services. Seriously. Amazing. So, we have lots of, all of you are amazing, right? All of you, regardless of whether you're in admissions and business office, education, but our student finance vertical across the company, our career services vertical across the company is absolutely amazing. Amazing. Do you know what the word consistency means? It means, like, by the way, my language is very different. Like, I define lots of words very differently than others. Like, consistency to many people means repetition, right? Of the same thing again and again. To me means being predictable. Like in student finance, I can predict with a high degree of certainty and accuracy that there is going to be a certain percentage of achievement and accomplishment in packaging and accuracy throughout the continuum of the month. And I can predict exactly the same thing with career services, with a high degree of accuracy and consistency, right? I know Encino is gonna hit their monthly target at 12:01 a.m. the first day of the month. I have not seen them not do that. Right, Jackie? Yes. You see, Jackie, when she gets embarrassed, she just puts her down. You have that melting effect when somebody kind of compliments you. You just want to kind of melt and go under the table. Yeah. Right? And honestly, I have to also give incredible credit to Joan Yorstone. So, for taking career services to new heights, incrementally, meanwhile becoming creative with new programs, new tools, new resources for our graduates. It's truly amazing. Same thing, it happened first with student finance under Sanjay's leadership and the regionals in student finance. It's just becoming a machine, right? So consistency, it means predictability. You want to predict how some department or region is going to do every month. You want that, right? So in admissions, fantastic. They do amazing work. All of you in admissions do amazing work. But can I predict you're going to do exactly the same thing every month? Not yet. Not yet. But you will. It's going to happen before I die. And I hope I don't die tomorrow. It's going to happen. I guarantee you, because we continue to get better and better in every admissions department, at every campus, every single month and year. We are. But we are not where I can say with a high degree of certainty that we're going to do X next month. I can't. But guess what I do all the time? God, please. I do exactly what I don't recommend to people. I pray, I hope, and I'm flexible with praying. With whatever religion, I do whatever you like. But I want to get out of that, right? Because hoping and praying and waiting, you can't take that to the bank. Yeah. It's therapeutic, it feels good, but it doesn't work all the time. So we've got to get there with admissions, and we must get there with education. Right? All of you who are instructors, all of you who are academic leaders know what I'm talking about. You're here because you're amazing. But I guarantee you there are a lot of people around you at your campuses, at your regions who are not. Help them. Teach them. They are there because they have expertise and they have experience. But they're not here because they're not consistent and they don't take their role as a calling. Being in education and being a teacher, I tell you, you can have 101 reasons why you're failing. But those who do excellent work do it because they love what they do, they're passionate, and their students matter a great deal. When I go to campuses, I talk to a lot of students. And I was at the West Palm Beach campus, when I was talking to a group of students, and I asked them, what made you decide to come to Florida Career College, and what made you stay? Do you know what that student said? She said, because the instructors and the staff make me feel as tall as everybody else on this campus. Think about that statement. Our students need that. Our students need to feel safe. Not safe from a security perspective, like they're going to be robbed, but safe as far as being hurt. Safe as far as feeling cared for. They need to feel safe. They need to feel important in a world that never made them feel important. Do you know what I'm saying? You all know that, right? You feel it. You see it every single day. You've got to create a community, a campus climate where students feel they're all as tall as one another. Right? So, how do we become consistent and fantastic and do excellent work every single day? We have to continuously recruit top talent and continuously develop them. We have, I tell you, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, if we have great training programs in place, I would say, no, you know. I would have anecdotal examples, but today we have amazing training. Amazing training in admissions, student finance, the business office, in education and career services. Now we have so much training, nobody participates. I'm just kidding. So in admissions, everybody goes through a training program. Everybody. You know, I look at participation levels in admissions. All of our new professionals go through the program. Again, we're trying to improve everything, right? We're trying to create a continuous effort so training is not an event. In student finance, there is, I think, close to 100% participation in training every single month, right? And in education, you know, there's participation, but not so much, so we're getting better at that. And in career services, the training that's provided, there's a high level of participation. It's around 75-80%. So there is ample training. But you've got to participate, and we need to help everybody else participate in that process, right? Again, we need to develop everybody so they grow, so they continue to advance and ascend and be here every year, right? Like, actually, I should ask all of you, how many of you, this is your 11th, 10th year being here? Chris, Jim, Jackie, yeah, right? So, Jessica, right? Rhonda, is that you? Oh, Deb! God, shame on me, I didn't see this light is. So, we have a lot of people who've been here since we've been holding these events. How many of you have been here for 8 years? That's right. That's right. 7? That's right. Good job. Good job. So, those of you who've been here a lot, and I guarantee all of you have also been here at Pinnacle all those years, you know that we have improved every year, right? We get better every single year. Every single year. Again, we're not unreasonable to want everybody to go from 0 to hero, right? But we do want incremental improvement, especially in verticals where it relates to student success. We definitely want that. And all of you are responsible for that. And you know I'm kind of trying to say all of you. It's all of you are responsible. right? It's not just the managers. It's not just the directors. We all own student success. But we must have the talent to work with. If we don't have top talent that cares, that will focus on quality and training and development, it's not going to happen. Right? Yes, last night I was having a conversation with Taylor. Taylor Sanchez, those of you who don't know him, is the regional director of career services for South Florida. Amazing superstar. Amazing superstar. Where's Taylor? So we had an interesting conversation, and our conversation was, and my thing to Taylor is, trust yourself. You know what has to be done. Oh, by the way, Taylor was in my mentor program, so A+ students, read all my books, did all his homework, and worked full time. So my message to Taylor always is, be you. You know what you have to do. You are awesome. Don't try to be anybody else. You know what needs to get done. If you have people that can only give you a C performance and you want A, you're not going to get an A from a C player. Nothing wrong with the C player. But everybody has capacity. Everybody has a ceiling, and if you want to break that, you've got to innovate and transform. Right now, South Florida, this past month, had 3 campuses that hit honor roll. 3. I guarantee you last year, many people never thought honor roll is going to happen in South Florida. They may have said they believe it, but they really didn't. So I want to thank Nora for being the first campus at Margate to hit honor roll, for making everybody else believe it is possible to be extraordinary. You have to make the belief possible. It starts with one, then Lakes, then Miami, then Lakes, right? Now, before you know it, it's gonna be everybody, right? But it has to start with somebody, but you will not be able to do it if people are not there to be here, right? Again, it's not about experience. It's not about expertise. It's about having capacity. Right? It's to have capacity. And I tell you, the first time I saw Nora, a year ago, Nora said, I'm going to be beating the West Coast campuses. I said, well, wishful thinking. Have I heard that before? But in the back of my mind, you know what my head was telling me? She's going to do it. Because I saw that determination in her voice. Right? That's what you need to have. And once you do it, you realize everybody else around you, in South Florida, they saw Margate do it. They're going to say, well, Margate do it. They have to change the name of that town. They said, wow, it's not the water in South Florida. It's the people who occupy that department. Right? You start believing in yourself and not the world around you. You have to first believe in yourself and have that capacity to reach for it. So you surround yourself with amazing people and you go from there. So recruiting top talent. And again, whatever I tell you today is what I do myself. If all of you know me, you know I am recruiting every day. Every day I am recruiting. For every position in this company. It's it's something all of us have to do because we have to recruit top talent, develop them, train them, and then what? Leave them alone. Let them do their work. You don't want to hire amazing people, then tell them what to do every day. You don't want that, right? Hire fantastic superstars, train them, develop them, acculturate them, give them their responsibilities and their duties, then leave them alone. Let them do their job, and so that they can come and report to you every single day and every week, so they come and tell you, I want resources and tools. That's the only reason they should come to you. But if you don't trust them to take on their roles and responsibilities, don't hire them. You've got to allow people to own it. I always say, be the CEO of your position, but you have to allow people to be the CEO of their position. And I do that, I have to tell you. Not a lot of people necessarily like my style or necessarily survive with my style, but the ones who do become amazing. Because honestly, I don't know anything about what most people do, right? I don't, right? It's a difficult people, but all you can do is hire, you figure out if they have the talent, then you train them, you give them resources, and then you say, may the power of the force be with you. Right? Let people be them. I always tell people, be you. You are there because you're you. I don't want you to be anybody else. But be the absolute best version of yourself. The absolute best version of yourself. And I would be remiss if I didn't put the absolute vertical and function that surrounds everything that we do, which is regulatory compliance, right? We always must be compliant with all state, accreditor, and federal rules and regulations at all times. We have more people in compliance at IEC than any other organization our size, by far. Why? Because we care. We want to make sure everybody is trained to be compliant. And we are consistent. Where are our compliance people? Can you stand up? Can you? All of our compliance. I see Ian, I see Bev, I see Angela, George. You know, and Angela and Ian head our compliance vertical at IEC, and truly, I'm privileged to have the best in our business with the organization. You know, I stole Ian from an accreditation agency. It was the best. It was worth it. It was very good. And Angela was with Anthem when we acquired them, and turned out to be an amazing superstar for us, and I'm really proud of her and what she's accomplished. So we've covered everybody, right? Marketing. Who's here from marketing? I saw Esther. I know Esther is here. Can you get up? Esther. Liz. Excellent. They do amazing work. They're very quiet, but they are scientists. I'm telling you, they are deep thinkers, and talk about reports. They have their fair share too. Amazing group. So, and I know I have lots of my colleagues here from Irvine in this room. Can you all get up, the Irvine support team? Please, all of you, all of you. Wow. I'm a fan. Truly amazing people that work very hard in Irvine. And I tell you, I'm so proud. I know all of you saw the new colleague survey results. Irvine got 91%. Yes! Yes! Thank you. Thank you for recognizing my peers in Irvine. You know, we started at 82%, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever we started doing these surveys, and now we were at 91%. So thank you for your votes, because all of you at the campuses, you are our customers. And we take your feedback to us very, very, very seriously. So those of you know that if you've written me, if you ever email me, or if you have an idea, you know we are very responsive, and we take what you say incredibly seriously. Because, again, I say all these things, but I say it because we practice it ourselves. So that's with the bubbles. So this was the black and white version of our system, of IEC and who we are and what we do. But all of this can only happen if we have a culture that promotes and encourages and drives for behaviors and values that will create that level of result. And you know we talk about culture a great deal at IEC. We talk about values a great deal at IEC. And I'm not ever, and I always want to frame it and qualify my statement by saying that I don't think our culture is the best. I don't think it's good or bad. And I don't ever say our culture is right or wrong. I don't place judgment, but our culture is ours. We own it. And those who do well here are those who acculturate within IEC very, very well. So sometimes we have people who come here from other organizations. They may not have done extremely well in their past, but if their values match our values, they become superstars here. And vice versa, if somebody was a superstar someplace else, and they don't share the same values we do, they don't do well here. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, good or bad. I'm just saying this is who we are, and this has what has helped us persist, and it's what has made it work for us. Does that make sense? So I'm going to take some time talking about a few of our values at IEC. We have lots of values. And I have to tell you, we've been doing all kinds of things to help our culture permeate every part of our organization. And we are taking more deliberate steps to be more hands-on. Most recently, under the leadership of Mr. Jim York, who is the Vice President of Leadership and Learning at IEC, we assigned roles at each campus called Cultural Ambassador. So these roles are very important because these are the people responsible for making sure our values are alive and well at the campuses and in the regions they're in. How many cultural ambassadors are with us here today? Oh, great. Anka, Andrew, Joanna, oh, very good. V, excellent. Good. We have athlete. You're an athlete. Very good. Yeah, so, you know, isn't it amazing that the cultural ambassadors are also here at Pinnacle? It's not a coincidence, right? So, just to give you a preview of what the workshops are, our first series of workshops took place this month in South Florida and North Florida, I believe. South Florida? North Florida coming soon, South Florida, and everybody participated, and and they did very, very well. I was talking to Michael, our admissions superstar in Miami, who participated and really loved it. And, you know, Michael is another one. Michael, where are you? Michael? Oh, Michael is right here. So, Michael is an admissions superstar. I saw him in his first week with us. And, you know, Michael was a graduate of FCC. Yes. And we hired him at the Miami campus. And when I saw him during the first week and I spent a few minutes talking to him, I said, my God, now I know why we hired him. He's amazing. You know, he's articulate, he's passionate, he understands who we are, he shares our values. You know what I told Michael? My only advice to him: be you. Be you. A year later, he sits in front of all of you at Pinnacle. Congratulations. Right? You find excellence, hire them, train them, develop them, then let them be them, just support them and give them tools, give them resources, and let them execute. Right? So, the workshops took place. We have cultural ambassadors. We're going to take very deliberate steps to make sure our values are lived by everyone at our campuses. To give you a small anecdotal feeling of what that's going to be like, I would like to ask Jim York to come and to give us a preview of what it's like. Corey is right behind you. Jim.
Mike, there we go. Can you all hear me very well? Well, first of all, what about this guy? A round of applause. So, I have to talk a little bit about Fardad and my relationship before I get into talking a little bit about the workshops, but there were several years ago that we had, at IEC, had been going through a very difficult time, and we were at an event just like this. Who all was at that Pinnacle event several years ago? When Fardad stood up in front of everybody during a very difficult time in this organization, he said, I own it. And I'll never forget, those of us sitting in the room looked at Fardad. I, for one, just said, I will follow that man. And look where he's taken this organization since then. Do you recognize that? When Fardad talked about, when he talks about how far we've come, I've been a part of that, and I've watched the organization emerge, and through his leadership, it's only through his leadership that allows people like all of us to do the things that we're talking about and to be all of us. I'm kind of jealous sometimes, though, because when Fardad and I talk on our one-on-one calls, at the end of the call, I always say, Fardad, what can I do to help the organization? And he'll always say, Jim, just be you. But he says that to Taylor. He says that to everybody in the room. So I'm kind of like, okay. But, you know, I guess the point that I would make on that is that it's such a powerful feeling when Fardad tells me to be me. I feel so empowered. I want to go out there. I mean, I'm so complimented. I'm so energized because I can do that. I can be me. I can be the best Jim there is. But I'm allowed to do that. And I can't tell you, I'm sure you all experience it, when we say be the CEO of your own position, do you realize taking control of that? You're taking control of your destiny. Nobody else controls you. Nobody else controls us. It's a matter of taking charge of ourselves, and we can make a difference. And I can't tell you what a joy and a wonderful experience it's been for me, sir, for so many years. When we opened Sacramento, we had done a press release, and Esther was asking me, well, Jim, what have you done? You know, I have run 10 different campuses in the time I've been with this organization. Do you realize that? So I've got a flavor of the organization for several years pre-Fardad and now post-Fardad and in the Fardad era. It is a phenomenal experience. Do you all agree that not everybody fits with IEC? You know, but that's good news, because those of us who do fit are true ass kickers. Are we not? So by being here today, we're really proving what we're all about, because it's difficult. Do you also agree in the workshop, sometimes I'll say, have you all felt, sometimes I feel like, feel like you can never do enough? Come on, be honest. I feel like that a lot. But Fardad said it a few minutes ago, until we're perfect, we can never do enough. And so I kind of remind myself of that when I feel like I can never do enough, because I go through, the ups and the downs like anybody else in the room here, and I feel the challenges, but I remind myself of the very words that we talk about. The very words that IEC is all about is what the stuff that Fardad's talking about today. Choose the right people, and that is difficult, but also be who you are. Because when you are who you are IEC. And through the Cultural Ambassador Program, I'm also asking all of you, not only the ambassadors, to carry this message through everybody in your campus, because as Fardad said, all of us, you are the leaders that are going to make the difference in the next level of the organization. It's so true, and I wish that I could go to each and every person every day and talk about how I want you to be who you are. So let me ask you to do something. In one of the workshops, we do an exercise. I'm going to ask you to do that with me. So kind of roll with me on this, if you will. So I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes, and I want you to create an environment in your mind of just openness and peace. Just be peaceful. Clear your mind of everything. We do this in the workshops. Now I'm going to ask you to create a meadow in your mind. As far as you can see, it's a beautiful, wide open meadow. Beautiful green grass. As far as you can see, there are no mountains in your way. It's as far as you can see. You can look over the horizon. Create what you want, flowers, clouds, perfect weather like today in San Antonio, a soft breeze. So you've got that picture in your mind? Now I want you to draw a fence from left to right, somewhere about halfway out there. Not a wall, by the way, a fence. Somewhere about halfway out there, left to right. Fence of your choice. Now look at that and consider that your budget, your target, your goal. Easy to reach, something that we can get to, something we can aspire to. So I know that that fence is where I've got to get to. Now I'm going to ask you to remove that fence. No more fence, wide open meadow, beautiful green pasture as far as you can see. That's your target. That's no limit thinking. Take the fence away. Take the budget away. Take the target away. Take the outcomes away. Remove it. They mean nothing. They're just a numerical representation on a number line. That's all it is. So when we have no limits thinking in this organization, it means create your own vista, create your own view all the way out there to the end of the meadow. If you do that, we will do what we're talking about in IEC, no limits thinking. Will you do that? Okay, wake back up. All right. Thank you, Fardad.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim, very much for that. That was awesome. Thank you very much. So, all of you, of course, are responsible for making sure our values and our culture is lived every day, right? Part of it is you have to teach, you have to coach everybody around you about values, but you have to live it, right? You have to live it in order for everybody to see it, right? You can't tell people to be professional and respectful when you're not, right? Again, you can't ask somebody to be the CEO of their position when they're always pointing fingers for somebody else, right? So the premier members of every campus community is who? The campus president, the executive director of that campus. Who are they in this room? I see lots of them in this room. Can you all get up? Chris, Tim, Nikki, Jackie, Deb, Sandra, Raphael, our newest. These are our best, everybody. These are our best leaders at the campuses that we have. And they are responsible for making sure our culture is alive and well. So I'm not going to talk about all of our values because we have lots of them. But I want to talk about 4 specifically today. And I wouldn't say all 4 are my favorites, but they're in the top 5. The first one is accountability and ownership. Surprise. I tell you, to me, this is by far our most important value. Being accountable and owning your business. When I say be the CEO of your position, I mean imagine you owning your business, and your business is being an admissions professional, being in student finance, being a business office manager, being a SAM, being an instructor, being a career services professional, being a director in any of those departments, and acting and behaving and positioning yourself as the true owner of that function. You have to be able to visualize it first, right? Because sometimes what I do when I talk to people about various things, I say, well, how are you doing? How's everything coming along in your department and campus? They say, well, everything is doing great. One of the reasons I, missed my target last month is because he said, she said, this person was late, that person doesn't care, people are all around me, they want me to fail, nobody listens to me, nobody comes through, but I own it. I am fully accountable. No, you're not! You are not accountable when you blame everybody except yourself. It all starts with you owning it. Ownership is the most important. But this is so hard to do. You know why it's hard to do? Because all of us are socialized from the time we're kids to find out what's wrong with the world around us. And we become experts at it. We become experts at figuring out what's wrong with people and things and organizations around us. We're experts. We're articulate. We're eloquent when it comes to finding fault in people. How many of you have spouses, cousins, nephews, sisters, brothers? How many of you have them? Okay. I guarantee it, if I give you a tablet of 100 pages for you to list what's wrong with every member of your family, including your kids, your spouses, your cousins, you will fill out the 100 pages. And you will be very articulate because you've thought about it before, right? You see, my wife is nodding in the back. Yes, I'm writing about you right now as we're speaking. That's what people do because we're socialized as kids to find what's wrong with the people around us. So by the time you enter the workforce, that's the expertise you have, right? If I asked you to do a counter exercise, to write about the amazing personality traits and attributes of your spouses, your kids, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, if you really work hard, you will maybe complete 2 pages with large fonts. Right? It's true. So, developing the skill to say, it's all me. I influence the world around me. I own the journey. I own the accountability. I make every mistake myself. That's when you will truly and authentically be liberated as a human being. So try this once. Try it when somebody at your campus, some department, when they do something wrong, you raise your hand and say, it's my mistake. I did it. I own it. Even if you don't have anything to do with that function. Do you know what's going to happen immediately? You will earn everybody's respect. Again, you shouldn't just say it for fun. You should mean it. You should mean it. You should mean it because you know why? Because people who truly, authentically own problems will solve them. Because what we want to do, we want to spend 5 to 10% of our time finding problems, because you want to find out the problem, right? Not talk about it. Because, everybody's an expert. Expertise. All of you are experts at this. I am an expert too. What's wrong? Because from the time I was 2, I've been trained and socialized to find out what's wrong. Second thing, who did it? Who did it? Because once you find out who did it, it's over. You feel better. As long as you didn't do it, life is good. Right? Remember, everybody's expertise. What's wrong and who did it? Imagine a world, you find out what's the problem, and I did it. Then you spend 90% of your time focusing on solutions. And when you focus on solutions, because this is a problem owners have. If you're a true owner, and all of you here are owners, right? If you're a true owner, you know what you want to do? You want to solve the problem. But that's not the best way. The best way is identify the problem, take personal responsibility and accountability for it, and then involve your entire community to help solve it. Be inclusive. People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. Be included so people feel respected. So people feel they belong. So people feel they matter. Look at all of you are amazing. I tell you, if I worked with you on every day, all of you are going to be solving my problems. Seriously. Right? Who knows how to solve the problem better than the people doing the work every day? If you want to solve problems in education, ask instructors. Ask your best instructors to help you improve student retention. That's how it's going to happen. Again, it comes with ownership and accountability. But you have to fight this incredible urge. How many of you like ice cream? I don't see Sanjay and my wife's hand. Yeah. Okay. Ice cream is a lot of people's kryptonite, right? So your urge when you see something you like is to gravitate toward it, right? That's what you do, right? So you have to fight that urge of finding fault and what's wrong with the world around you, right? Don't see what everybody's problems are, because once they're on your team, they are there for a specific reason. They are there to solve problems. Let them do it. But you have to own it, regardless of your position, right? If you're an instructor, if you're an admissions professional, or if you're in student finance, if you're in the business office, if you're in career services, you've got to own the responsibility. Nobody's going to do your work. If you fail, just say, I failed, but mean it. Because if you mean it, then you'll do something about it as an owner. If you just say it because it's cool and it's part of our culture, we'll know. After 10 times, if you fail and you say, oh, I own it. No, I don't believe you. I'm not that smart, but I didn't fall off a turnip truck either. So when you say you own it, I want to know what you're doing to exhibit and demonstrate accountability and ownership. What are you doing? Owners ask for help. Accountable people always raise their hand and say, help me. Owners make difficult decisions. Difficult decisions for difficult problems. That's true ownership. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Do you? I'm not feeling it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. I can't hear you. Yes. I can't hear you. Yes. Now I hear you. You know what I'm saying, right? Yes. True accountability, true ownership requires you, every single one of you, regardless of your title. Your title doesn't make you better or worse. Your title just separates functions in our organization. All of you can be more if you want to. But you need to accept that there is a solution to the most difficult problems. Right? You know, do you want me to give you a funny career services example? Okay, you heard the good ones, right? What Taylor did in South Florida, right? That's a fantastic one. That's true ownership, along with the amazing EDs and Michael Cole in South Florida. They said, you know, we're better than this. We have this problem. We're going to be as good as the best career services campus with an IEC. And they got there because they accepted responsibility for it. They didn't set limits. They did what they had to do because you know why? Because they know our students deserve better. Always think about the obsession with the student, right? And again, you know, I've been in this business 30 years. I was like 2 years old. Little Fardad here, going into a classroom. 30 years. I have heard it all. I have to tell you, I can write a book of excuses and what. But I have favorites. I have favorites with excuses and stuff. And this involves the Bakersfield campus, which is one of our best campuses every year because of who? Chris Callisto. Chris Callisto. So all of you know I love Chris. All of you know that, right? Do all of you know that? I love Chris. Chris and I go way back. So I love Chris because he's amazing. He never returns my emails. He never responds. And you know, and sometimes I think I send him an email and Ali says, you know, Dr. Fateri sent an email. It's rude not to respond to him after a month. So I sent him an email a month ago. He responds to me yesterday. And of course, you know, he does a reply all. He does a reply all. Oh, I'm sorry I ignored your email. It wasn't important enough for me. But I want to tell you, I hear you, and I will participate. Well, very kind of you, Chris. And of course, this was the most recent. We have a few situations going back. But, you know, back in the day, I want to say like it's 6 years ago, 7 years ago maybe. So I was on this call. I used to kind of do these stealth things on calls. I used to go on calls all the time. And back then, people couldn't tell. Now people know I'm on the call. I don't know what it is. I have to complain to IT. Everybody knows when I'm on the call, everybody says, Dr. Fateri, welcome. Oh, shoot. You're not supposed to know I'm here. How does that happen? But back then, you know, our IT wasn't as good as it was today. Or people just didn't even care, or whatever. So I used to go on those calls all the time just because I love being on calls, just on the background, because that's how I learn, right? I'm a learner. And, you know, people like me, you know, like I'm not as smart as other people, so I have to work that much harder to learn. So I have to go on calls. So you learn a lot on these calls. Admissions, financial aid, career services, education, they're amazing. So I'm on this career services call with the director of career services in Bakersfield. This is way back when, you know, right now they're amazing. That's why I'm bringing up the example. Historic. so I don't offend anybody. So Chris is on the call, Director of Career Services, and they're having this incredible problem placing medical assistant graduates. And they're far behind. All the other programs are fine. This one is problematic. So our regional at that point is asking, well, what's going on with your MA? You know, you're short, 15 people, your placement is low, it's going on. And the Director of Career Services run out of excuses because there were a few ones I've heard. Students are not interested, they don't want a job, they don't want to get a job. The usual all of you in Career Services have heard, right? And then the Director of Career Services, the regional wasn't buying the excuses. And I'm learning, right? I'm listening. And the Director of Career Services said, well, what happens between the months of March through May is that our graduates, because we live in the Central Valley, Bakersfield is in the Central Valley, it's grape picking season. And all of them are involved in picking grapes. And so they're not coming for their interviews with employers. So I immediately, my interest was ignited. Because I had never, at that point, 25 years, had never heard that excuse. So I take the mute thing off and I said, excuse me, hi, this is Fardad. Tell me a little bit about your grape picking season. So she says, oh yeah, from March through May, and Chris is on the call, right? March through May, it's grape picking season, and our students don't come for interviews because their families and they're all involved in grape picking season. I said, just the MA graduates? She says, oh, yeah, well, yes, it just happens that. So I said, okay, thank you. I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. As you know, I don't like to make people uncomfortable. So I get done, and I called Chris immediately. I said, Mr. Callisto. He said, sir, don't say anything. I know exactly what you... So I want to let you know, there are a million legitimate excuses and finger pointing that can go on, right? From the incredibly ridiculous and funny, like grape picking, to we lost the student's phone number. But to me, there's no excuse, right? Not all of our students graduate. It's hard to graduate from our programs for the million reasons you know. So for me, it is so hard. It's almost impossible to believe. Our students paid $19,000, go through 8 or 9 months or 2 years, through all that struggle with childcare, transportation, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, to pick grapes and miss an interview. You know how that's going to be hard to believe, right? Or to say, they don't want a job. They just wanted to finish the program and just sit home and do whatever they were. You know how hard it is to believe that, right? It's not that I don't trust. But our students come to us for employment, right? So, again, ownership, accountability, own it. Like that Director of Career Services should have said, okay, we missed it, we're going to fix it, and this is how I'm going to do it. But if you believe grape picking season is real, you will never find a solution because you are going to drown yourself in that blame. Does that make sense? Yes. So all of you, I'm sure, have similar grape picking season excuses that you hear from different people, right, at your campuses, right? I mean, our career service is far advanced now. I mean, Joan, if she hears that on a call, probably would go to Bakersfield and shoot somebody. But of course, Bakersfield right now is one of our best performing placement departments. Not just placement, but everything. Everything. I mean, I think everybody from Bakersfield is here, right? Yes? Bakersfield, where are you? Please stand up. Well, see, our Director of Career Services, Alex Ford, is here. One of the best we have in the company now. So from grape picking season to Alex Ford. Doesn't get any better. Right? But it comes with ownership, right? So, sometimes your community doesn't have enough positions for certain programs. Chris told us 3 years ago, we have X number of positions for pharmacy technician graduates. We cannot accept more than X number of starts in PT. We said, yes, sir. Let's not accept for more than that. But you need to own it. I don't know Bakersfield. Chris does. Well, Chris does now. He was new to Bakersfield until 7 years ago. But you have to tell us that. We want to secure employment for our students to graduate. So if there aren't enough jobs in the community, let's cap enrollment on the front end. And Chris had the ownership to do that, right? So again, you've got to own it. Does that make sense? Yes. Please spend time to digest this and make it a part of you, because and please make sure everybody at your campuses and your departments understand this, but it needs to become a part of their psyche, because it will help you not just professionally, but also personally. Yeah. Remember, your objective in life has to be to make that 100-page booklet full of positives, attributes, and personality traits, and not 100 pages of negatives and blames and finger pointing. Once you achieve that, then that means you have transformed yourself. Right? Okay. Where's Jackie? Jackie is easier. I want to ask Jackie to share about her experiences and the IEC culture.
Thank you, Dr. Is it on? Thank you, Dr. Fateri. And congratulations to all of you for being here. Such a nice, it's nice to see so many faces. For 26 years, I have been lucky to call this company, and definitely my campus, my home. The very first moment I stepped into UEI, I was excited about what UEI has had to offer, and definitely hopeful for the future. UEI culture revolves around the ability to help our students to achieve the highest success possible. We all know our students' success is our success. Their hardship is definitely our hardship, and their failure is definitely our failure. This mentality for years helped me to get closer to the community, therefore resulting the best outcome for my campus and definitely for my students. Each day I walk into my campus excited, nervous, ready with a positive attitude, and ready for challenges that will be thrown my way, and we all know there's many. However, at the end of the day, my goal is to leave knowing one thing: I made a difference in someone's life. And that's very important to me. We're very, very lucky to be rooted, to have our career rooted in education. As I push my kids to succeed, and I do, all of you guys know that, I do the same for my students. It's very important for me. And I urge my team to uphold what's really important to get us closer together to definitely achieve top talent that Dr. Fateri always talks about it. I've been in all positions: customer service coordinator, director of admissions, admission representative, director of education, and today as campus president. But one thing I know, my team, the supportive team, the supportive backbone, and definitely motivating future has helped me to be where I am and definitely who I am. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fateri.
Wow. When you hear Jackie, what do you feel in her? What else? Yes, love, passion, ownership. What else? What? Pride. Pride. Right? Jackie has a lot of pride. And that's another value I want to talk about. You know, to me, pride is a distinct separator between ordinary and extraordinary leaders. Sometimes it's about experience and expertise, but people who take pride in what they do have behaviors and attributes and subsequent actions that separates them. It's hard to teach pride in a workshop, right? You know, I feel pride when I walk on some campuses and when I talk to people. The way people talk about what they do, what their students do, and what their team members do. When I walk in a classroom and I see an instructor talk about what they do in their class, how their class is positioned, how the class is designed, how they deliver education and make sure their students are learning, and what their students have accomplished, that comes from pride. When I hear with an admissions professional talk about how many students that they have enrolled, have completed, and what they're doing, and they're still in touch with them, and they love going to graduation, that's pride. Right? When you talk to student finance, and every time I talk to them, they say, my team packages more files with the highest level of accuracy than any other campus all the time. That's pride. Right? Pride is so important. When I was talking to Taylor last night, and I bring up Taylor's point because, again, it is hard to rise when it's so easy not to. And Taylor rose, and so did several of his campuses. And when he talks about career services and what he has achieved, all I see and hear is pride. Right? Again, all of us have problems and issues. Nobody's perfect. That's why, like, I tell you, well, you guys are lucky my wife is here. Just ask her how many problems I have. We all do. But only a few things separate us from others. Pride is one of them. Because pride will allow you to be somebody, to act and behave at levels that others are not. Right? You know what pride means, right? For example, you know, we did a survey of our students through our marketing department under Esther Duang's leadership. We surveyed thousands of students and graduates. FCC, US colleges, and UEI. Going back a couple of years. Thousands. You know, in all my years in this sector, in career education and in post-secondary education overall, you know what I always thought about students coming to our sector, what the reason was? Do you know, I always thought students come to us to get training in a caring, safe, supportive environment and to secure employment in an academically related profession. Right? I've always thought that. Always. And I wasn't wrong, and you're not wrong, because I'm sure all of you have always had the same understanding, right? Career education is about training and education, preparing students for employment in an academically related profession, right? That's what we believe. So, hence, education and training is an instrument. It's a tool. It's a journey, and the ultimate objective is for employment. All true. But The true igniter of the decision a student makes to come to school. Of course, they're here for training and to secure employment at the end. But the true reason, the true igniter of that decision is their pride. Because they want to build a future they can be proud of, their family members can be proud of, the communities they're in can be proud of. That's when we came up with the tagline, we help students develop futures they can be proud of. That's the igniter. So all of you have stars, right? These stars, when students start, you ask them to write the reason they're coming. Go read them. It's one of my most favorite things to do when I go on a campus, to read the stars. And, they don't exactly come out and say it. The majority of them do. They come out and say, I want to have a life I can be proud of. I want to build a life my children can be proud of. I want my children to be proud of me. I want my mother to be proud of me. I want my parents to be proud of me. I want to matter. That's pride, right? Getting the training, getting placed in a career, that's the instrument. That's the vehicle to fuel that pride. So pride, in essence, is the driver of their decision. Because let me tell you, it is so much easier for our students not to come to school, to stay home or to do whatever they've been doing. Because the majority of our students are first-generation college students. First generation. Right? So it's pride that ignites them to do that. Nothing else. It's pride that allows them to go through the difficulties of their lives to come to school every day. Right? Every single day, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, do the homework, figure out childcare, figure out transportation, figure out everything else to come to school. Pride is the igniter to come and start and complete this continuum, including working afterward. Does that make sense? When I come to some of your campuses, most recently I was at West Palm Beach, I was at Encino, West Covina, Ontario, Gardena. You know what I felt? The boards that I saw, everything that I walked into the classrooms, I was noticing pride. When I come on a campus and I see the campus being clean, it's not about the campus being clean. It's about people caring and having pride that that's their home. Right? When I was at the Anaheim campus a few weeks ago, at that point the school director was giving me a tour, and whenever he saw something on the floor, he would quickly go pick it up. To me, that's pride. Right? You have to take pride. It's when you invite people to your home. Don't you want everything to be clean? Don't you want everything to be orderly? You're not trying to show off. That's pride. You want people to see your pride. And whenever you go to a campus and everything is all over the place and the boards are bad and the pictures on the walls are from 20 years ago and it's like black and white. It was back before the color the color film has come out. When you see stuff like that, what does it show? Lack of pride, right? Because, again, you can't teach people in a workshop. You can't teach people pride saying, make sure you pick up trash when you see it. Make sure your walls are full of boards that show passion and love and pride. Right? That shows pride. You cannot teach that in a workshop. You cannot. You know what I'm saying? I went to the Encino campus. I tell you, The minute I walked in, the front desk customer service came around, say hi. I mean, like, you felt it. When Jackie feels it, it cascades down to the whole campus. Right? So, as opposed to if you go to a campus and you see the customer service rep on a personal phone, and you feel like you're being an interruption to her day, pride, not so much. Right? You can't teach that stuff. And when we say, well, how come your customer service person was on a personal phone? Well, she hasn't gone through our training yet. You don't need training not to be on the phone. You are a customer service rep. Somebody walks in, you need to respond. And thankfully I was in a suit. Imagine a poor student. Do you know what that person told me? Excuse me, it'll be a minute. And after a minute, I'm just standing there and I'm thinking, I need to talk about pride a little more. She says, can you sign in? Absolutely, ma'am. I go sign in. Again, I don't care about it. I don't matter. Honestly, I don't matter. Do you know who matters? Our students. Again, obsession with the student. Remember that. That person was not obsessed with students. Right? Far from it. Some things, again, you can teach. We can do values and culture and all that. But certain things, we can train. But if we have to train people with how to be decent, how to have elementary human skills, that's when I bring up the bubble about hiring top talent. Hire talent you can groom and develop. Don't hire people that you can't. And don't wait for me to come to your campus to point these things out. Right? Again, it's pride. And let me tell you, whenever, going back to the pointing fingers and blaming and so forth, the first thing that people say when you bring up an issue, the first, on the list of problems I say people fill out, you know what they say? I didn't get training. I wasn't trained. I wasn't trained in this area. That's the go-to. Now we have so much training. Now we have another 100 excuses and reasons. Again, all of you are responsible for killing excuses and blaming. Create people who are empowered to own their job. Even your customer service person must be empowered to own that position. There is no position at IEC that's too little or too big to provide breakthrough customer service to our students. None. None. Does that make sense? Yes. Makes sense, right? Another campus that has incredible pride. Deb Davis, our campus president of the amazing Mighty Morrow campus, most recently lost one of her security officers to a health condition. And I tell you, she cared so much about that person that she almost wanted to miss the Pinnacle to attend that gentleman's funeral. And she cared so much that she wanted to do something special for the security officer who wasn't just a security officer. He was a lot more to that campus. You know why he was who he was? Do you know why he was empowered to be so amazing? Because of Deb Davis. Because of Deb Davis. Because Deb Davis allows her team members to be extraordinary. A security officer is not just a security officer. That person is your friend, is your supporter, is the facilities person, is the painter, is a million things. But that's what everybody does on that campus. That's what everybody does at all of our amazing campuses. People just don't have a title and say, this is the bubble I'm in. I'm not going to do anything else. You have to allow people around you to be all things to all people. You don't need a degree to care. And you don't need a certificate to have pride. Right? Please, please, please send that message out. Again, I give you simple examples. The reason I give you examples, extreme examples, like I tell you 99% of our customer service professionals are fantastic. But even 1% is too much. People who ignore people walking in. Right? And of course, that customer service rep, somebody talked to that person and whatever. I get a 3-page email from the customer service rep saying all the reasons why she was on the phone. Again, I help you. I give you insights and observations. But true owners of a profession don't go tell somebody, hey, the CEO was on the campus and you really screwed up because he's really... No, own it! She is your customer service rep. Right? I don't mind you saying, I said this, I said that. I don't mind. I get it all the time. But true owners, take my insight and build yourself and build your campus. Take all this and own it. That's what ownership is. Am I making sense? Yes. That's what pride is. Again, all of these are linked together. That's what you will always end up with. That everything is linked together. Making sense? Yes. Okay. Is Nikki good here? Nikki, can you share a few words about culture? I would love to hear from you. Amazing leader from West Palm Beach.
Thank you, sir. So when you asked me to do this, I actually just asked the people who work for me to get some of their ideas. So I jotted them down. But first of all, I would say all the people that I've had the honor to work with are what get me to this room. So I can only be great if I surround myself with great people that I can support. But I would tell you, be one of the first ones in the building. It helps you get ahead of the game. It helps you be ready for when the students come so you can take care of them. Make sure you're accessible to your staff, to your students, to your faculty. Keep that door open. I know there's conference calls and all that, but keep that door open. Create a culture where we never give up on the student, even when they give up. Don't manage in a way that just works good for you. Manage in what gets the best out of the person that they need for them to be the best, because the best version of them will make you great. Always train your people. That investment in training is the best return on investment you'll ever get. Never settle. I have a quote. Michael knows it. The longer you settle, the longer you suffer. Spend every dollar. This one's for Sanjay. Spend every dollar like it came out of your bank account. Mine. And yes, I beat Baco last month, just saying. Make decisions for the staff and for the faculty that you would want made if it was your family member. Always learn from others, shamelessly steal every good idea you can, and don't hesitate to reach out to people that can help you. Don't be above doing anything. I don't care if that's mopping a floor, fixing a toilet. Don't be above it. Follow the process consistently. After you've followed the process consistently, then you can recommend improvements if you need to, but first follow the process. We've all worked for other organizations possibly before we came to IEC. Give up the X. They're not here. I've heard you say this, focus on solutions. Whenever I have a failure, I get 24 hours to be mad at everybody because we failed. But then I have to look at myself and say, what report should I have run? What questions should I have asked? What meeting should I have done? What could we have done that would have given us a better solution? Because I have to learn from that failure so it doesn't happen again. Be competitive. Michael, if we're not first, we're last. Thank your staff and your faculty for their help. Thank the people at Irvine Support that help you. Make sure you're there to help them when they need help. That means responding to Fardad's email quickly, by the way. And lastly, it's kind of my thing, ODM, one team, one mission. Every department is important. We don't win unless we get every department to win.
Awesome. Awesome. You know, everything Nikki says and Jackie said so far and Jim said, you go to their campuses, you see it, you feel it. That feeling of our students are in great hands at these campuses, right? Another person I would love to hear you, I would love for you to hear from is Chris Callisto. Chris, a few words from you.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm going to go a little different route. Pride and ownership, to me, are the two biggest things that you have to embrace at this organization. And it all starts with, and I like what you said, Fardad, you can't define our culture as good, bad, or indifferent. It is our culture. And the way I look at it is, when you come here, Fardad hands you culture. And I look at it like a sword. And that sword is double-sided. You can either use that sword to break down the barriers to be the best you can, or you can turn it around and use it as Harry Carey. You have to figure out how you're going to embrace this in order to be most successful in this organization. And I appreciate the fact that when you get that sword, you're given 100% ownership of being the best you can be in your position title. I know many of you, sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but trust me, Fardad gives you 100% ownership. Now, the key to that is accountability is tied to that ownership, meaning you need to make those numbers. Like Jim says, limitless thinking is the only way you're going to survive here, and that's what you have to do. How many of you in this room are here a year or less? Anybody a year or less? Okay. And many of us have been here when we were a year or less. And we thought, and now I've been here going on 11 years. And when I was sitting there where you were at a year or less, I was going, you'd probably be smoking the wrong cigarettes if you thought I'd be here 11 years from now, right? It's huge. It hits you like a ton of bricks, right? But then when you embrace it and you buy into it, one thing, and those of us that have been doing this for 30 years, many organizations tell you it's yours. You own it. You have it. But very few give you that opportunity. You feel like a puppet with strings in most organizations. So my suggestion to those of you that are leaders and those of you that want to be leaders is that you need to take that sword and you need it to break down what you feel are the barriers for you to meet your maximum potential. And when you do that, you don't wait for somebody else to tell you to swing it. Because in this organization, if you're waiting for someone else to wait for you to get to where you need to be, you're going to be sitting at that bus stop a long time, or you're not going to be on it anymore. So I love this organization from the perspective of Fardad has always given me the tools and the opportunity to be the best I can be, to let me be me. And that, to me, is not something I've ever gotten in any other organization. So you need to embrace that. The other part you have to embrace is that no one's going to wait for you to be you. You got to dive into it, you need to take it, and you need to take complete ownership. And trust me, it feels like a whirlwind when you come through this. But once you master it and utilize it to the best you can be, you can move up in this organization and do things you've never done before in your career. So my suggestion to everybody sitting out there today, and you're the best of the best, that's why you're here. You're also surrounded by all those other people that support you in roles that may not be where you are right now. So go out there and swing that sword so you can be the best you can be, but make sure you're setting the foundation for everybody around you to understand that that's what you need to do. Because I know you have a lot of colleagues that are using that sword, not to swing it, but on themselves. So make sure that when you go out there, you do what Fardad has given you, the opportunity to run your own show and be the CEO of your position.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Great insights and advice. You know, again, when we say be accountable, own it, we don't want everybody to fit in a specific mold. Like, we don't want people to be these robots, right? I mean, all of us are going to have our issues and our problems and our shortcomings, but the key components of our culture are all around the obsession with student success and all the measures that we use to gauge that, right? I mean, look at Chris. He never responds to my emails. He never responds to my calls. But I don't care. As long as he serves our students. As long as Bakersfield has amazing record, demonstrated record of success with students, that's all I care about. I want all of us to be different. We are the most diverse organization out there. The most diverse. We truly, you know how a lot of colleges and universities have all these affirmative action, you need to have this percentage, this percentage, that, this percentage, that. I asked our HR department as well as our registrars to give me ethnic makeup of all of our colleagues. We don't have, honestly, you can ask anybody here. We don't care about any of that stuff. We care about who is best at serving our students. And you know what I found out when I looked at the ethnic makeup of our students and our colleagues? Perfect representation of the communities we serve, without us being deliberate. Right? We don't have a special program for that. That means that we don't care about that stuff. We care about students and student success. That's the most important thing. That's how you're going to be measured. You're not going to be measured on 1,000 things that don't matter. I don't care about that. But what we do care about the continuum and the experience of our students from the day we call them to the day they graduate and we place them. That needs to be flawless, and that's our work. And that's the objective we all have. Ultimately, that's where we need to get to. We need one standard of excellence from A to Z. And we have a lot of work ahead of us. Which brings me to our next value, which is humility. The way we look at humility is different than the description of most other people of humility, right? Because, you know, I told you I define words differently, so I have my own definitions and hence all these values. So the way we look at humility, I'm not talking about when you see somebody be humble and like socially kind of timid. No, that's not what I mean when we talk about humility. Humility is not about taking a back seat and be socially humble, which is the definition most people are used to, coming across that you're a humble person. But humility is a way of being, because humble people make themselves vulnerable. When you're humble as opposed to arrogant, because you know what arrogance is, right? It's a curse. Because once you believe you're amazing and you're the best and you can't get better, that's when growth stops. You don't want to ever stop growing, right? Because learning is a process. You always have to get better. And we will never be good enough. Never. Because the minute you think you're the best and you're amazing and you can't be better, that's when you start retracting and you start suffering and you start going back. So learning comes from being truly and authentically humble. Because people who are truly inside humble make themselves vulnerable. And when you make yourself vulnerable, your guards come down and you start asking questions instead of talking all the time and telling people how the world is. Right? Humility always makes you a student and not the boss. Always be the student. Right? That's what humility will do for you. Always allowing you the gift of being able to ask questions and learning and giving yourself the opportunity to get better. Because improving is very, very important. Because when you start winning, you always want to win. But you can only start winning and win again and again and again if you make yourself humble. And you make yourself, again, you should celebrate. I loved what Nikki said. Something great happens, go celebrate for 24 hours. And you know then, at that point, your victory becomes what? History. Then you have to think about the future, right? Again, winning is not an event. You can be awesome 1 month, awesome 1 year, then you can go down. You know, Ali Voller, who is our regional vice president of operations and has done an amazing job, had the best region last year without question. The only thing I told Ali, when the year was over last year, I said, don't let it get to your head. Because Bob, Aleko, and Michael are after your lunch. They'll be nice about it. They'll be very friendly. But don't ever believe winning is permanent. It's a cycle and it's continuous. And it's not, I'm not just talking about professionally, right? Those of you who are in sports, look at it. How many teams get to do it again and again and again? Very few. It takes a great deal of humility to make good decisions, to learn, to plan, to anticipate, and to position yourself for continuous growth. So humility, with that said, is the opposite of big ego and arrogance. Always consider arrogance and ego as your enemy and as the biggest curse. And all of us have egos. All of us have that arrogance. But you know what you have to do? You have to fight it. Every single day. You know, you have to have this conversation with yourself. You know, I have lots of conversations with myself. You know, that's how you develop all those disorders I talked about earlier. You always have to have these conversations about yourself and recalibrate as a human being. And being humble is important, right? Because we could say as an organization now, we could go out and say, we're the largest system of private post-secondary education in the US. We are better in student retention and graduation and placement than anybody else. And it could be true. But if we truly internally believe that, we will be dead. Dead. We have to believe. Again, remember, we become great when we continuously grow, become consistent in admissions and student population, when our attrition is 3.5% gross every month, month after month, our completion and placement rates are 5% above the accreditor's minimum benchmark every month and every year, and then we have to repeat that every year. That's when we can say we are great that year. All of you know we have a long way to go to get there. We are far away from that. Right? We are far away from that in retention, completion, and placement. We are. Again, at every campus, every region, across our system. Super difficult to do. But that's what makes our sector so exciting. Just imagine what all of you achieve every single day. Doesn't it feel great? Feels great, right? Don't you feel great every time you go home? You say, I achieved so much today. I've achieved so much this month and this year. Before I get to my next value, I want to ask our Regional Vice President of Operations, Ali Voller, to share a few words. Ali?
Thank you, Dr. Fateri. I would like to, what I love most about our culture and our people, share that through an experience of my very own. We're all superstars here. Everyone here is a winner, and that's why you're here. But if you've had a long career, you know, you do fail at some point. And the decisions you make at the point when you're down is what determines whether you're going to be a superstar again. And that happened to me personally. I was a winner, Anaheim campus, A team. And then I was given an opportunity to grow by Dr. Fateri, Mr. Tiab. And I was running a region. I had the worst year of my career in 2016 and the first quarter of 2017. I failed. I failed miserably. And I did exactly what we're not supposed to do, which is I became a bag full of excuses. And I had very creative stories to tell, and I believed in them, utterly believed in them. And I would say things like to Mr. Tiab, I didn't get stupid overnight. You know, how can I fail? And I don't even know how many one-on-ones Mr. Tiab had to literally perhaps conduct brain surgery to see what's wrong with her. And I still wouldn't get it. Till one day, I think my mentor had had enough of it and asked me one question. Do you want to win, or do you want to be right? And I still didn't understand that question that day because I felt, I'm right, I want to win. And, you know, just like Dr. Fateri said, I went to have that meeting with my mentor with a book of all of my problems. And I really wrote a fantastic book of all the issues I was having. And he repeated something again. He said, well, everything you've written here is all right. It's actually, I believe you. They're all true. But your competitors, your opponents who are dagging you, are at 500 points, and you're losing, you're at 0. And I didn't have any words to say at that point. I digested, I thought about it. And the first thing I did realized is that at IEC, when you fall and you've been a winner, you are not left there alone. If you truly open your eyes, you will find many people with their hand out there trying to help you pull you back up. And that's what they were doing, Mr. Tiab and everyone who cares about you. Beta, I think she's here. She tried her hardest too. But when you are at a point where you just truly believe in your excuses, not many people can do anything. But then I took a step back and I faced the brutal facts. And I changed just one thing. I stopped making excuses and I truly first started listening. Really listening to what the people who've believed in me so many years are trying to tell me. And then I acted upon it. And I looked to my team of Chris Callisto, Jackie Azizian, Mr. Esprio, Mr. York, Sandra Gracia, Tim Gramling. I looked to Jessica Guillen. I looked to my colleagues, Michael Cole, Nikki Good, and every team member in the Pacific region. And the next step was, kept my head down and just worked hard and harder. The harder I worked, the harder my team worked. And we had a rough 2017, but we did not give up. We just made a decision. I made a decision, personal decision, to get off my pity pot and face adversity and smack it in the face and move forward knowing I am not giving up till we get to the #1 position. And for real, we didn't think we would do what we did in 2018. We really didn't. We just went at it without, like Mr. York said, take the fence away. We just went at it. So all I have to say to you is that when you're down, make the right choice. Don't care about wanting to be right. Care only about winning. And that's what gets you through. But never, ever, ever stop or give up. I'll end what I have to say with just one thing that my mom taught me when I was a kid, and I'll translate it in English. I want you to walk, I want you to run, I want you to fly, I even want you to fall, but I simply never ever want you to stop.
Amazing, Ali. Thank you. It's just such a gift to hear from our leaders who've been here for a long time, and we have so many more. But I just wanted you to get a feeling, an insight of what it likes to be here, right? Because, the world teaches us and trains us and grooms us and develops us to become suspicious, skeptical, cynical human beings, right? And a lot of people who enter an organization, like they do entering into a relationship, they believe that, right? They start questioning everything and they start thinking about all the conspiracy theory. Well, he said hello. What did he really mean? Did he mean it? Why did he say hello to me? That's one extreme. To the other extreme of, there must be a reason they do everything they do. There must be some side story. He said, she said, all that stuff. I invite you. I encourage you. I ask all of you to train your mind to become powerful enough to only make your obsession with student success the only priority at your work. Again, your brain is going to force you to be cynical and skeptical. they will force you to find what's wrong with the people and with the world around you, because that's how we all are. So train yourself daily and make yourself obsessed with your customer. Obsessed. Train yourself to find good in people, good in your students, and good in your colleagues. Because when you do that, excellence will emerge. Right? Last value that I want to talk about today is commitment to excellence. You know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Because a lot of people who put out, all of you are amazing, right? You all do excellent work. That's why you're here. But a lot of people think mediocrity is excellence. Why? Because they work hard. People who work with me every day, I always tell them, I don't care how many hours you work. I care about what you produce and how you perform. You could work 14 hours a day. If your student attrition is 6%, you're terrible. And you could work 8 hours a day. If your student attrition is 2%, you are amazing. So it's not about labor, it's about performance. We appreciate hard work, but we push, we drive for results. You know why? Because our students deserve it. Our students come to us, they give their lives. We borrow their lives for 8 months, 9 months. They are on borrow to us. They give us, they have faith in us. When we do great, that means you came through. But when you fail them, we fail as one. Every student who drops out of school is our failure. Does that make sense? So put all that stuff in your head. You know, all these things in your head. It's the devil in your head that focuses on cynicism, skepticism, negativity. Fight that. And focus on the student. And focus on the cause. Focus on winning for the student. They deserve it. Be obsessed with your students. Be obsessed with your graduates. And when you do that, that's when you start feeling that commitment to excellence. You've got to develop a relationship, hopefully it will end in marriage, of being committed to excellence in everything that you do. But that's demonstrated through the results in retention, in admissions, in student finance, in the business office, and in career services. It's that commitment to excellence and not accepting anything less. And those of you who are here know what excellence looks like, because you have met and most of you have exceeded expectations to be here. But you have to tell everybody around you what excellence looks like. It all starts with your behavior and how you carry yourself. That's what leadership is, right? If you have 10 negative people around you, be the only positive person. You are the person, in effect, by result, the leader of that group. Because you can have a million legitimate reasons for failing our students. But you only need 1 or 2 reasons to do well. But you have to be positive, and you have to be powerful, and you have to be committed. Right? Yes. Again, it all starts here, and then it transcends. Make sense? Yes. And please, 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 try to find and recruit people to come join IEC. This is a fantastic time to be with this organization.